questions for Coach Jenks. Coach, do you want to?
Certainly, definitely. Opening statement. Why not? Thanks for coming out, first and foremost. Not the outcome that we would have liked, to say the least. When you've got an opening game at home, the last thing you want to do is get down 21-3, to any opponent. And really what it did for South Dakota, it gave them life. Not that they needed it. They came out and they played a good ball game, but they get up quick like that, they truly believe they can win that game and in a dogfight for the rest of the ball game. So hats off to them. They did a great job. What I wanted to do at this time was to, got home that night and talked to my wife a little bit about it. And one of the things she discussed, and I could kind of feel it, was that it's how packed the parking lot was, and there was kind of a buzz in the air. And really want to thank the BG community and our student body. That's what we've been crying for since I've gotten here. So we appreciate that. We will continue to work, and be sure you get back out and you fill these stands again when we get back home to play Akron. So with that, I'll take any questions.
Can you, from looking at the film, can you take a look at each of your phases with
Yes.
the key problems?
We want to start with let's start with special teams, because again, that's a phase that I really feel like we're going to have to be successful in order to get to Detroit and do the things that we want to do this season. So as excited as I was following the Michigan State game about the special team and all the phases of special team that they played, disappointed in this week's performance. And really a majority of that disappointment is from the return game. I still got great faith in Marcus Milton. I think he'll learn from that ball, from that play. And then the Bryson Dinley kid, his first time out there, he got caught up in a situation where he should attack the ball. He didn't. He played hesitant, played slow. And again, those are things that we can get fixed. You don't turn those two balls over, and you don't give up those cheap, easy 14 points. A good chance that we might have come up with a victory. So we got to get those fixed on special teams, and those are things that are easy to fix. The effort's been great. We just can't have those and win football games. Defensively, really it was disappointing a little bit, and the lack of focus and eye discipline in some levels on our back end. We gave up some kind of cheap plays on wheel routes and things of that nature, just by safety's eyes not being where they needed to be. And again, those are things that we can control. And as a ball coach, we'll go in and we'll talk about it, we'll get it fixed, and if it continues to happen, it's our job to put someone else in there. You've heard me stand up here and tell you that we are deeper, and we are. And we got guys that we need to give other opportunities to play if we're going to continue to make those type of mistakes. We gave up those 2 or 3 explosive plays. Other than that, you really look at they played decent defense. But at the end of the day, those explosive plays count. The 72-yard play, a 51-yard play, a 30-yard play, that's 100, and you do the math, 150 yards, that counts. So you have to eliminate those things. Then offensively, we did some decent things offensively. I thought T.O. Redding really stepped up and made some clutch plays. I know that Datron Guyton ended up with the majority of the yards, but T.O.'s catches were clutch catches, and it was good to see him do that. I thought we ran the ball decently in the first half. I think we were pretty balanced. I think it was 21 rushes and 20 passes, which is about where we wanted to be. Then after the second turnover in special teams, it got to a point with about 6 or 5 minutes left to go in the third quarter, in which I told Coach Kilmer, Coach, we got to throw it. We're down 18, we got to throw it. And you saw the numbers, the lack of balance there as we concluded that game. I thought the quarterback got better as the game went on. He threw the big pick at the end of the second quarter, which was an untimely one to say the least. But what I'll tell you is this: we saw the same coverage later in the ball game. We kept it back in. He checked the 8 again, and he threw a touchdown to Scotty Miller. So he improved. So we just got to continue to improve. We got to continue to focus on the little things, and we're starting to get some guys back this week. I think Aaron Banks will come out and he'll work out. He worked out a little bit this morning. Lorenzo worked out a little bit this morning. Those are 2 key clogs in what we're trying to do. And then the guys that were subbing in for him, they got some key reps. And so in the long, looking at it in the long haul, it is, it hasn't been a lot of fun for the last 2 weeks, but we may be better because of it.
I after all the momentum that you built up with the Michigan State game, you felt so good. Does it feel like all of that is lost and you have to go back to the drawing board?
Well, no, definitely not back to the drawing board. You know, again, you know, you can't go down 21-3. I mean, from that point on, we weathered the storm, to say and we were able to come back and get back into the game. And the thing that I was most proud of is we didn't just panic. I think, last year this time, if that were to happen, who knows what the score would have ended up being. We would have just folded, and the outcome wouldn't have been what it was. We got back in the game. We chipped away. We stayed consistent as those offensive coaches, again, as play callers. Really proud of them, not really trying to start forcing the ball early in the game. They gave us a chance. We got back in the red zone. We kicked those field goals, again, 5 for 5, but you got to have touchdowns. You got to have touchdowns, especially when you're trying to come back from a 21-3 deficit.
Can you talk about the penalties a little more? You've had a chance to see what.
I have. I'm glad you brought that up, John, because that was probably, going through all the faces, probably my biggest disappointment. In that, as coaches, again, starting with me as the head coaches and our coaches on the sidelines, you got to understand what kind of ball game you're in. All right, we play the Michigan State game. I think there's 7 total penalties in the game. Officials were letting you play. All right, we had 14. Heck, they had 12 or 11 or whatever it was. They were going to call, and what you can't do is let that affect you. And I think that we did that as coaches. I think there was a little bit too much bickering about who's getting the call and who's not getting the call, and of course that's going to translate down to your players. And when we have to be a disciplined team, and we have to keep our head. We've proven if we try to play outside ourselves that that's not we won't be successful that way. So we've got to learn from that. And again, I made sure that our coaches understood that. That if anybody's going to get kicked out of the game, it needs to be me, period. And what needs to happen is the coaches and the players need to be pulling me back and not making excuses, So, again, thanks for bringing that up, because that was definitely a key to the ball game.
If I could follow up with that, there are a couple of times where, penalties flat took away touchdowns that ended up being field goals. When you look at those plays.
Yep. Well, there's a procedure for that, and you send those into the league office, and you have them look at it, and they'll come back and they give you the results of what they thought they saw. So when I get those results back on Wednesday or Thursday, I'll be sure I share them with you. But at the end of the day, again, John, it's football, man. I mean, some days we're going to get that call, some days we're not going to get that call. You know what I mean? And some of those calls, yes, did they go against us the other night? They sure did. But, we got to handle it. We got to be resourceful, and we got to find a way to get the ball back in the end zone again. So I think towards the end of the game, I had that conversation on the sidelines with our unit, and they responded. We threw the touchdown on the little rub route down here, the same route they threw early in the ball game. You can watch the video. The guy flopped. He threw the flag. They responded. We came back, got backed up. We got a touchdown again. So those are the things we need to do. You're going to get some calls. You're not going to get some calls. You just got to play ball.
Okay,
I'm sorry, Jordan.
I want to go off that. Can I go off that for a second, please? Because those are games, and I think you'll agree with me, those are games you guys have to win.
Correct.
On your home field, an FCS opponent. When you're talking about penalties or one play here or there shouldn't matter in a game like that. Am I right or am I wrong?
Well, let's give South Dakota a little bit of credit. They're not a bad football team. You know what I mean?
I get all that.
Right.
But if
But
you
you
guys
want-
want to be where you want to be.
You got to come in and you got to dominate an FCS.
Yes. So how can after the game be talking about one play here, one play there, penalty, one penalty? Is there a different level of accountability somewhere that has to be held?
No, at the end of the day, it's about a win, period. And you got to be able to win those kind of football games. Bottom line. I mean, there's a lot of people in the country that have struggled. I mean, there's parity, trust me, in college football right now. You know what I mean? And we are who we are. And we're a work in process, but we need to get to the point, of course, you want to come out and you want to win by 40 or 50 points. That's not who we are right now. And right now, what's important is finding a W.
I'm with you. I get that. What's the level of frustration for you right now? And how important is it coming off the season you came off of and start to this season? How important is your job right now to make sure that everything is
You want to stay consistent. That's kind of the key. You want to stay consistent and make sure they understand that there's a plan in place, and it's about continuous improvement. It's about improving on a day-to-day basis, and those are the things you can control. You worry about the things that you can control. You know, again, getting down 21-3, I don't care who you're playing. You put yourself in a hole that's going to be hard to dig out of, and you know that was what happened in this past ball game, and you know we've got to move on. We got to learn from it.
The one other call, what did they tell you about the Wilcox play at the goal line?
Well, they felt like he didn't maintain control and continue the catch. Now, I know that there's been some still shots that I've seen on the internet and whatnot. You know, that doesn't kind of give you the whole picture. I think that as he lunged for the goal line, it was all in one movement. The catch and the lunge were all in one movement. So then once you do that, once the ball hits the ground, they called it. They felt it was incomplete. Now, if he would have caught it, took 1 or 2 steps, lunged, touchdown. But again, that wasn't the case.
And what are you looking for from Northwestern this weekend?
You know what Northwestern's going to do. They're going to be sound. They're good up front. They're going to be physical. They got a great running game. Jackson is probably one of the better backs in that side of the conference. We're going to have to contain him, and then we're going to have to limit again the explosive play in their passing game. From an offensive standpoint, they're stout up inside. They tend to leave up the box light at times. We're going to have to be able to run the football when they've got a 5-man box, so we're not up there trying to throw the ball 40, 50 times to try to get a win.
Did you watch much of their game against Duke?
Actually, I watched a lot of it that morning prior to our game, and we've broken it down. Duke was able to expose them a little bit in one-on-one matchups, and the receivers were able to win, and the quarterback hurt them running the football.
Let me flip it for a second. Is there a concern? Do you look much at Northwestern and where their program is right now after that loss and coming into this game and stuff? Do you pay much attention to that?
No. I mean, Coach Fitzgerald's a great coach. He'll have them ready to play. They were going into last week's game versus Duke. I think they were ranked 24, if that was right. So I'm sure they're a little bit disappointed following their loss. They've taken some hits. They lost probably their leading receiver in week 1. They lost a couple corners as well, and they had a safety out the first half of that Duke game as well. So, they'll have some young guys that have gotten some experience last week, and they'll be ready to play.
Sorry to be negative again, but can you understand the fans' frustration right now? Can you relate to it? Can you understand why they're frustrated right now?
They should be frustrated. That's what a fan is. I'm frustrated when I watch the Cowboys. That's what I want. And that's what we want. Talked with Moose about that a little bit last night. I want these fans stacked. I want them blowing up my Twitter. That's what should be happening. You know what I mean? We want this community involved. We want them passionate about BG football. So will you ask me, do I understand their frustration? Damn right I do. And I don't want any other way, period.
What do you do then to mollify it?
Win games. Stay the course. Understand who and where we are right now as a program. Continue to build. Continue to recruit your tail off. Continue to bring quality individuals into this program. That's what you do. And you understand that on Monday sometimes you got to come up and you got to face the heat. That's part of this position.
Do you think that one of the biggest things coming into Saturday's game,
Last Saturday?
Last Saturday. A lot of those plays seem like focused ones. Especially with the special team stuff. Do you feel like
I don't think there was a lack of focus. I think those were guys put in situations from the first time and they didn't make the play. And I think they'll improve from that. Again, those are things that we can control, and those are things that we can fix. It's about reps. It's about being put in those type of situations. I don't think there's anybody in the country that does a better job than Coach Brock in preparing our special teams. I promise you that. Those kids didn't make a play. It happens. And what you got to do is you got to make sure you don't make that same mistake again. Because if they continue to make those mistakes, then it's on me for not getting someone else in there. But I've got confidence in both those young men.
But is that an easy game, I guess, to go into? Coming off a Big Ten game, going into a Big Ten game next week, I mean, is that an easy one to kind of
Trap game?
let your guard down?
No. Again, man, we're not. That's not where we are right now. You know, what we're trying to do right now is continue to build a program. You know, we were playing a lot of young kids, and that's no dang excuse. We got to get them away. We got them getting ready to go. We got to keep them out there. And really, the key is kind of like you said earlier, is keeping their confidence up and making sure they still believe. You know, but again, they played hard for us. We made too many mistakes to win the ball game.
Curious about the running game. Using the backs by committee, is that
Right.
something you want to stick with? We see a lot of
No, really. You know, I believe in getting them back into a rhythm, but you know, I think that throughout this spring camp, fall camp, and to this point, no one's really stood out. I mean, they've all flashed at some point. The kid that really ran well Saturday, in my humble opinion, was Josh Cleveland. I thought he did some things that kind of separate himself and demand some more touches. You know, Donovan's got his time and his place. We all know what Donovan brings to the table. The little kid kind of cramped up in the third quarter, the freshman, the Andrew Clear kid of the game, but he's unique. I think that moving forward, those three will continue to share some carries. And what you'll see is if one gets hot, I'm not taking him out. If a guy gets rolling, I mean, that's a conversation that I had with those guys too this morning. Once one of them gets rolling, we're going to leave him in the game because it's just like anything else. And the more you hit it, you see it, your vision and things of that nature. You know, but it's a good problem to have. I think we got three guys that can make plays. You know, we struggled up inside at our guard position. I mean, both guys struggled, and you know, we've got to look at that and. Hopefully getting Taborn back helps a little bit, but, you know, we got to get him ready to go.
There had been talk in the preseason about more of a run game. It's not really panned out the first two games. Is that a function of the games you were in, or what?
Well, week one is a function of a pretty dang good front seven. Go ask Western Michigan. Go look at what they did in the run game. Last week was a function of getting down 21-3. I mean, if you go look at the first half, we ran it well, guys. We ran it well, and we got to the point to where we just couldn't just hand the ball off anymore. So it's not making those mistakes early in a ball game. It's about, you know, doing the little things that keeps you in a ball game and keeps you from having just to throw it to try to catch up.
Good? All right, thank you.
All right, gentlemen.